So today we're reviewing
The Suicide Squad.
I do not mind sometimes.
supervillains Harley Quinn, Bloodsport, Peacemaker, and a collection of nutty cons at Belle Reve Prison join the super secret, super shady Task Force X as they're dropped off of the remote enemy-infused island of Corto Maltese. This is the 2021 Suicide Squad. There was the 2016 Suicide Squad. According to the director, this is a sequel and a remake. But this is a non-spoiler,
It's a sequel.
so there's no spoilers in this. What are your initial thoughts of Suicide Squad?
Well, building off of that, it's definitely a sequel, and it's a film that I liked a lot. After seeing it just one time, I already know I want to see it again, and just to kind of see some stuff that I missed. And as far as where I'm standing with like my comparison to the first one, we'll get into it later on, probably the spoilers. But I definitely enjoyed this film. There's a lot of great action. The comedy hit for me almost, I'd say, 90% of the time. And the characters were great, actors were great. And I definitely enjoyed my time with this film. And it's kind of hard to believe that it was an hour, it was 132 minutes. And it did not feel like that. Like, the whole time, like, my gosh, like, it's already been 2 hours. Like, I was that invested the whole time that I was not, like, I don't know. It really flowed well. For a movie to be that long, it can drag a little bit if it's not right, and it did not drag for me at all.
Yeah, this movie was... I walked out of this movie happy for sure. There's a lot of things that I like. There's a lot of positives. There are some things that are really bothering me. That bother me in the movie. That are really frustrating that I'm thinking about. But overall, there's so much to like about this movie. And there's a lot of positives. And so why don't we get into our main positives of the movie?
I think the first and second acts for me were phenomenal. Probably perfect in my mind as far as like just action goes, storyline, and just what was going on with the team that we were following. And third act is where my negative might be. There's, like I said, the action was great, special effects were great, no complaints there at all. Everything looked so realistic, and the other good thing was that every single character, obviously from the trailers, you know, there's some characters coming back, and there's also a lot of very new characters, and I thought every single character was very interesting, and I like seeing each criminal and anti-hero, like the villains in the movie, just seeing their powers and like just seeing them like in their element. I love the storyline just of using villains that are in prison out of the DC universe, and just basically they're forced to go on a mission and they have to work together. And I like the team aspect. For the most part, though, I definitely enjoyed this film. A lot of great special effects. The music was awesome too, and there's a lot to like. And the action was just phenomenal. Like probably the best, I'd say, superhero gruesome, gory action sequences I've seen ever in a superhero movie.
Yeah, positives definitely includes the visual effects, the characters, the humor, the comedy was really good. The storyline was good, and there was a lot of shocking moments. I mean, there were moments that this movie I did not expect to happen. And without spoilers, some really shocking moments. Some of them I hated, but there's some really good shocking moments in the movie that are definitely positives. And there are a lot of positives. Like I said, the comedy, the action, the visual effects, the characters are all good. I mean, kind of like you mentioned, there's not one character that I was like, oh, that's an annoying character, or that they didn't do a good job. Every single character in this movie, and there's a lot, I feel like all did good. But why don't we get into our negatives of the film?
Negatives for me was just the final act was a little too, just, I don't know. The whole movie, there's a lot of like just stylistic decisions made by the director, which I thought were pretty cool, with like transitions from scene to scene. I liked a lot of that. But just the main villain was kind of the weakness for me, as far as just not being able to, without getting into spoilers. It was just hard for the final act to be as invested in the characters because
A little bombastic.
it was just a little too much going on the screen. And the music was great. I mean, I love the storyline behind the character Ratcatcher 2. I thought it was a cool storyline for her and me. And it wasn't like it dropped off too much. It's just the first and second acts were so good. I wanted the better conclusion of the film and send you off on a high note. And it just kind of fell a little bit flat for me. It didn't go bad. It just didn't go great, which is where I wanted it to go in the final act. But that's what my only complaint is, just the final act, and then not really having a villain per se that they could fight, and a couple there's just decisions that I would definitely didn't agree with, and I don't know, just nothing like major though. I definitely enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I'd say the main negatives in the film is the main villain. And just towards the, I guess you could say the third act, the movie, it was like here, it kept, oh no, okay, it was here. First 10 minutes, it's like up here, and then it kept going. And then the end, it just kind of started steeping off. Yeah. And I can't say why, but the main villain is part of that. And it's not like the main villain was awful or the worst one I've ever seen. It's just, it's difficult. It just doesn't work. I mean, it just doesn't work, and I can't go into it without spoilers, but they could have made a lot of other decisions, and I think, in my opinion, a villain can make or break a film, potentially, like Dark Knight, but I think this could have made this possibly a 10 if this villain was the right villain and was just right for the role.
I mean, I think a good comparison is Guardians of the Galaxy 2, kind of that level of the final act, where it was very hard to fight the final act in Guardians 2. But also, I feel like these two movies, I loved the first Suicide Squad a lot. 10 out of 10 for me, like, honestly. I mean, there's obviously a lot of flaws in it, but I really enjoyed that film. And as people said, like, they didn't like the villain in that one. So it's like, can Suicide Squad just get a good villain to fight against? Because in the two movies, apparently that's been the issue. I agree for this one. The first one, I thought the villain was fine.
The villain was better than the first one, in my opinion. But we want to go into our final thoughts and score.
I mean, final thoughts, I liked all the characters. The fact that I can name almost every single character. Outside of the first group, it might take me a couple more viewings to get the first group. But I guess the first people you see on screen, per se. I would say I really enjoyed this film. I had a great time with it. A lot of great action sequences. Special effects were great. Music was great. Actors and actresses did a great job. Like the storyline. Harley Quinn was once again a standout in this movie. She had an action sequence that was one of the best fight sequences I've seen in a while. And definitely tops anything she's ever done in a movie. In Suicide Squad, Birds of Prey, anything like that. Like, she had an epic fight sequence, and definitely was worth just seeing what the director did with that action sequence was awesome. And just the use of gore and taking advantage of being rated R shows why hopefully enough people get support this movie so we can see more rated R superhero movies, because obviously that's usually why movies don't do it. But Deadpool did great. Hopefully this has similar numbers as that. And definitely walked out of the theater enjoying it and wanting to see it again, which automatically gives me above an 8 score. And because of just how it kind of faded off at the end a little bit and didn't conclude as well as I liked the last one, it did do a good job of like teasing some things at the end. But my final score for the Suicide Squad here in 2021 would have to be to give the Suicide Squad a very solid 9.3.
Yeah, so this movie I was very excited for. I made the matchup this week, obviously, with King Shark versus Killer Croc. I mess that up every time. I definitely think there's a lot of great stuff. There's great characters. There's good action scenes. It's interesting throughout. Every character is good. And the villain, I said, was weak. And the third act was a little slow. And there were some problems. I had some problems with the third act. And I had some other gripes I can't really talk about in non-spoiler. But I was very happy with most of this movie. And a lot of the things they did, especially the R rating, like you mentioned, they really took advantage of that. And they made it so much better. So I'd give this a solid 9 out of 10. I think this is a solid movie. And I definitely want to go back and see it again. There's some things, I'm telling you, there's a few things that would make this probably a 10. But there's some things that take it down that much. But it was a good movie, and we will see you guys in the spoiler discussion.
So thanks for watching, guys, and definitely go support this movie if you can see it and you're above 18.
Yeah.
It's definitely a film you have to support because, once again, there's a reason why we get almost 99% of the time PG-13 movies, especially in the superhero genre, and just recommend go see it in theater because seeing it on the movie screen is so much better than seeing it anywhere else. And would just definitely say go check it out. And let us know in the comments what you think about the Suicide Squad. I'm hoping to make another one. So thanks for watching, guys. Our non-spoiler review of the Suicide Squad. And stay tuned for the spoilers discussion in either live stream or a normal video format. And we will see you guys and talk to you then. If not, then we'll see you guys in the next video after that. So thanks for watching, guys. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.